Hi everyone, it's Evelyn from Twin Flames 3344. I just have a few quick updates from today. Today is May 8th, 2018, and that is the number 8, which is the number of strength, and the day adds up to 24/6, which is the Queen of Wands. That's 6 is of love, family, and community, and 2 and 4. 4 is on the inside, is being very structured and stable and responsible, and then a 2 is the feminine energy on the outside, being a very good mediator. But it is the Queen of Wands, who's very creative and tends to be the good-looking one. Is also representative of the karmic in the twin flame situation much of the time. So it's the Queen of Wands and the strength energy today, which is also Leo energy. A lot of Leo today. Also, I want to thank everyone for their likes, subscribes, shares, and your comments. They're always very much appreciated, and I love hearing from people I haven't heard in a while. John. I just have some random downloads I got this morning. I just didn't want to let go, so I'm going to let you know what they are. And by the way, last night I watched I Am Number 4, which by the way was 1 hour and 44 minutes. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's very twin flamey with a false twin and everything. So check it out. It was kind of fun. I got, let's see here, from this morning, something that was coming up was dealing with left-handed people. When I realized me and my 2 friends I talk to all the time are all left-handed. 7 looked like 7 who were balanced people, and then 5 who would be more difficult, or were all left-handed. And this applied to both of my friends today, so I thought it would be important to just let out there, whatever your situation is. So 7 in a group that was really balanced and helpful and nice to be around, and then 5 who were more difficult or just without emotion or left-handed. So that was very interesting. And by the way, the check mark reflected is symbolic of a left-handed person. So that's something that came up in both the Divine Feminine and the Divine Masculine information today about being left-handed. So let me know about your left-handedness. I'd love to hear. Okay, then I was getting clear messages from the cards about the Divine Masculine being the horizontal support for the Divine Feminine, basically grounding and holding them up. And then the Divine Feminine being the vertical support, keeping their energy high for the Divine Masculine to raise him up. Let's see, and whistleblower came up as well. And that came up, I believe, yesterday, the day before too, whistleblower. And not coming together with plans that maybe you'd planned to get together with another or a group and it fell through. That's coming through a lot for people. And reaching for that top rung. And it was interesting because I looked up the different definitions for rung, you know, and there's different rungs, like squeezing something out, and that's something by force. So be careful about trying to get to the top by pushing it instead of allowing it to happen naturally. But it was really about the rung, R-U-N-G, which can be the spoke of the wheel, so the wheel of fortune. It's just one step as you go up the scale or the hierarchy. These steps on a ladder that strengthen. So this is representative of what the Divine Masculine is doing in grounding. And it also was referencing for the Divine Feminine, once all of your wands are pointing upward, you're free in your faith or in your leap of faith. So once all your timelines and energy lines are in vertical alignment, you're free to take your leap of faith. Also, I was getting, the reason some of the groups, you're not getting together with some of your groups is because there may be some codependency on other twin flame friends and that kind of thing. And you are to stand in your own truth on your own, to go forward on your own, in order for, energetically, for the Divine Masculine to also do the same, to pull away from people they've been codependent on. So that was something that tied together. I'm just going to mention patience again. It's always very important. Balancing, integrating. And I got this for the Divine Feminine. As the Divine Feminine is balanced and integrating and planning their next moves, I got Rook to the King of Wands. So of course I had to look up Rook, which I know what Rook is, but I like to look at the definitions because they give very specific messages. And 23 was coming up as well, which confirmed the King of Wands. So Rook to King of Wands, so Rook to King. So I look up Rook, and it's formally called the Tower, Marquise, Rector, and then it also described that an informal description is castle, but is incorrect. So to not call the Rook the castle, because the castle, the Rook is formal, and castle is informal. And remember, formed is the Divine Feminine, and informal would be the Divine Masculine. So the formal is the Rook, or the Tower, or the Divine Feminine. So this is the description. Each player starts the game with 2 rooks, one on each of the corner squares on their own side of the board. While the rook starts, or the white rook starts at A1 and H1. The black rook starts at A8 and H8. The rook only moves horizontally or vertically through any number of unoccupied squares. So when you are able to move freely as opposed to with blocks up or forcing the issue. As with captures by other pieces, the rook captures by occupying the square on which the enemy piece sits. The rook also participates with the king in a special move called castling. So this was great. So castling, what is castling? Castling is only if a king and a rook have never moved. So if you have never moved, made any major moves toward your twin on either side, the rook or the king, so the rook is the Divine Feminine, then a king can move 2 spaces toward the rook or toward the Divine Feminine instead of his usual 1, right? So if he makes this one little extra effort, then the rook or the Divine Feminine can jump to the unoccupied space next to the king. Okay, so if he just makes this little effort instead of his 1 space and does 2 spaces, then the rule is that the rook's allowed to jump all across the line onto the other side of the king right next to him. So I thought that was pretty great. So if that applies to you, or if you resonate with that, let me know what you think. And also coming up was going through any exposure of any kind of emotional affairs or affairs, being apart, working. There was a lot of information coming up then about the Divine Masculine. And again, left-handedness came up for the Divine Masculine as well. And actually 8 queens and 17 queens came up today. And definitely kids' parties, things like that were coming up for the Divine Masculine. I also got the mask is removed today. Full exposure through rebirth and through the 5-5 portal. And also something that came through with me and another twin flame friend was about 3 days from the 5th or the 6th, which would be today till tomorrow, that something significant happens. And I'm actually flying tomorrow. And something with the Divine Masculine and their father or a father figure, something very important is happening where they stand up to them or they're released from them, but this allows them to stand on their own and be independent. Again, the check mark, the reflected check mark is the left-handed or southpaw. 4-star hotels or 4-diamond hotels were coming up, and that was in conjunction with the 8 queens or the 8 sages. And the left-handedness is related to inspiration. Also something came up with where the Divine Masculine unhappiness has come from something about an ice skating accident or a skiing accident, and some abandonment issues came up from that. So they're struggling to stay grounded because a lot of stuff is coming up for them. Half-truths coming out, revealing half-truths or being sneaky, small messages of light coming out, and basically rebirth. And the death of aloneness for the Divine Masculine. This is a real rebirth here. One of the summaries I got today was the King of Wands. And so that was great because that coincided with the Rook to King of Wands. Strong arms, the King of Cups, to transform stability with a message about crystal work or some kind of money work or working with energy, and expressing feelings about the Queen of Swords, who has light. And then there's an Emperor, who's got a false hand. So this false hand has actually fallen off. So this was no longer there. The Emperor's no longer extending a false hand. Okay, to rise above it all. And this is for the Divine Masculine to be his own man. And again, like I said, there was kids' parties coming up today. 17 or 40 was coming up. And 8 for the Divine Masculine. And some kind of huge divine intervention for the Divine Masculine. I was getting literally that somebody was locked in the dungeon, so it could be like in a basement as well, and that someone's yelling, chasing someone down the stairs as they flee from the house. So someone running away or just escaping with a smile on their face, like leaving someone in the house to take care of the mess or the kids or whatever it is, or if there's a big party at the house. And the Divine Masculine basically just walking out, making the karmic take care of everything. Also seeing that someone saying to someone else that they're able to manifest money out of thin air, even with a stick up their butt, and expressing all of their feelings at once, they can still produce money out of thin air. So someone was upset with somebody else. I also see someone looking out their window while someone else is climbing a tree to watch, basically their secret wish. So someone's voyeuring or, sneaking around, climbing a tree. Could also be somebody working on a house, thinking about someone they secretly love. But the Divine Masculine music came up, and breaking chains of overindulgences, and finally getting justice. And that's pretty much it for today. I just wanted to give you a quick update. Hope everyone's doing well. And enjoy the sunshine if you have some where you are. And rise and be love. Take care, everyone.